In rendering our kitchen, we want our banquette and the island and the table to be our focus. So you'll be starting with your 1, and you can begin to drop the values off that you want to remain a little darker right away with that marker. Now the hatching is in, and that's going to support everything that we do, but I think it's a good idea to start at the back and move your way forward. See how that sets our island up. So the wall now, I can start to put in the 1, and the hatching already drops the value at the top. So remember when you use the markers that you don't just put 1 stroke, you do a couple. So I've gone in now and I've put several strokes there with my 1, and I want to put some here. This is my backsplash, my white backsplash, and I'll put some here. And I might as well include the hood in this. And I know I want to go darker on the side of the hood, but for now I just want to map out what I want to leave white and what I want to have a value on it. So I like to leave these light because they're progressing toward the foreground, so I'm going to try and leave them white. But this whole window, I don't need that to be white. I can let that go, and I can let all of this go too. But as I get more and more over toward that window, I want to have a vignette here. I don't want to have a solid square up to the edge rendering in gray. I want to let it taper off to nothing. So I'm going to, now I have my paper taped down, and I have to keep well back of it, otherwise my head gets in the way, as you know. So, but you don't have to do that. You can move your paper all around, upside down, sideways, and if I were you, I would do it, because that's the only way to reach some of this stuff and get it to look right. The other thing is to use your set square to make your lines straight. That would be the best way to do all of this, because I'm working very light, but I can see that my lines are not straight, and they should really be straight. So far all I've accomplished is I've left my figure white. I've made that decision. I've put this wall in with my 1. I included the hood, and I've included everything back here except for the light fixtures themselves. I'm going to leave some of the white of the paper for that. Now there are ways to get the white back with your white pencil and with your white pen, but the best thing of all is to not have to do that. The best thing is to leave the white of the paper, to think ahead. But we've got our visual concept. Our concept is that the only white pieces are going to be these pieces, parts of the stools and the table. So we're just beginning to implement that plan. Now, if you were working on bond paper, you could do this the very same way. There are some Copic markers that are great for backgrounds. Now here I have to be careful. I want to make a tapering off shape, so I want to just do that lightly. But there are Copic markers that are quite large, and they would be great for putting in a background like this. If you have a large piece that you're working on, they come in colors and they come in all the grays, so you'd be able to do that. Now there are some shadows on the banquette, so I want to get those in. I want to do some of my floor. I know I want that to come forward, and I'm going to put that in and let that come forward. There's that shadow, but this I want to taper off, so I've got a little bit of marker here and it's going to taper off, and I'm going with the direction of the floor. This is probably, I don't know if the camera is even picking this up, but this is more or less just for my own benefit, so that I know that I have a plan where this is going to go. I'm not putting any detail in there at all, and I don't want to put detail in this clock, not at all, because that can so very easily become a focus. So far she's all in white, this is all in white. I haven't touched any of that. The ceiling, we're going to do something just a little bit different here. We're going to go across as if we were going across in perspective. So there's my last perspective line that I can rely on. So I'm going to rely on it, and I'm going to bring my ceiling across this way too. And there's some perspective I can rely on. So I'm going to try and go like this to include that piece, that hood that's up there. Now this is dangerous. If I could have, I would have started both of those maneuvers this way so that they become lighter out here. I don't like that big dark out there. But this is only my one, so I can retrieve that by going darker someplace else. So now I'm going to put a few strokes just going this way. See what that looks like. I'm testing stuff out with this one, and I think that helps to finish off the ceiling. Normally we take a nice sweep this way, but we have this hood here, so we have to acknowledge it. We have to incorporate it, otherwise it will look funny sitting out there all on its own, and this is one way to incorporate it. Okay. So these lights are white, the person is white, this top is white. She's left white because she is next to the part that's a focus, so that was important. Now our cabinetry and our refrigerators over here, they're going to have a value. But we're going to taper off, and this is getting lighter and lighter as I go. So that was the one. Now I'm going to keep my one open because when I add the 3, I may have to blend it in a little bit. So, and with the 3, I'm going to start now and put in my shadow side. So the shadow sides are already established if you've been keeping up with your hatching. Now this is nice because it sets up the light I want to keep. I might remember too that we're doing gradual values, so I'm going to put a little bit of 5 at the start here. If you want to incorporate a little bit of graphic treatment, we can start to do that too now. And I have a little bit of this at the top that it's in support of these lights, so I do agree with putting this in a little bit with the 3 and maybe a little bit here with the 3, but I taper it off. This is definitely the 3 and this, but none of this is very important. So, and the hatching is already telling me that this is shadow, so I don't have to belabor it. I can just put it in where it supports the other ideas that I have here, like this idea of the pot light. That supports it there. Now this is my 3, so I think I can put a little bit of 3. I'll start this way and let the 3 go to nothing on the other side. I'm not convinced that I want to put any more of this up here, but let me try it. This is the 3 again, so I'm just gonna try, because I need to incorporate that. I need to incorporate this hood on the ceiling, so that might be a good way to do that. And keep watching. So it's light here, it's dark here. So that's what you're doing. It's dark here, light here, and then dark here. So you're setting stuff up. You put a little bit of contrast, so darker at the top, a little lighter there, a little darker here. So dark to light, and then this we want to taper off, so we're not too concerned about that. Now those shapes of trees that we've been putting in our window, you can begin to fill those a little bit in and then let them go to nothing. That'll set that up. This can't be in the light, so we want to do a little bit there. This is helping to set that up. But now we've got a start, but we have to wait now and see if this cabinetry being dark is enough to set up our island. I'm not sure whether that's going to be or not. If it's not, we'll maybe have to make it, the top part, a little darker too. So that was the 3. There's a little shadow here, and I'm going to make one side a little darker than the other. That might help too, because it's going to allow me now to pick up the 3 over here, and that will help set up the island. Now I know I'm going in different directions here and there, but I'm trying to keep everything straight. So it's dark to light this way, and maybe dark to light that way, so I can go a little darker over here. So where it's light, it begins to get dark over there. And this whole thing we can throw into a 3. Let's put this whole thing in 3 because it has a dark color, and there's a lot of shadow in there. So we'll just put the 3, and we'll put this in 3, and this,